Okay, any questions on this? Okay, moving on. So, I want you to push your desks together. Okay, give your old partners. Angela, I want you to work with Kim today. Matthew, I want you to work with Chris. Journey, I want you to work with Dan and Sabrina. Okay, quickly. You will need your composition book and your terms handbook. You have 30 seconds to get there. Okay, terms handbook. Okay, hopefully you have at least one copy between the two of you. You don't have to take it out of your bind or anything like that. Just keep it open. Okay. Terms handbook. You'll need a fresh sheet on your composition book. You may need to go dive into the textbook, but I think you can do this with just your scene analysis chart. Okay. Okay. So our objective for our mini lesson is to identify character types and then provide an example. And that's all I'm going to ask you to do right now. So I want you to find character types in your terms handbook. Read through the definitions together. Make sure that you understand them. Okay? So according to your handbook, how many different types of characters are there? Okay? Then I want you to provide one example of each type from Julius Caesar and explain. And that's it. You don't have to rewrite the definitions, but I do want to hear some discussion between you and your partner. Discuss the definitions, make sure that you have an understanding of those definitions, and then pick a character from Julius Caesar that best exemplifies that character type. Okay? So to begin with, I'm going to give you about 10 minutes. Okay? I want to hear a good discussion here. You can even throw around some different examples just to kind of help you along that. But make sure, this is the most important part, that you explain. Okay? That you justify using that definition, okay, to help you understand why that character would represent that character type. So, read the character types, find one from Julius Caesar, conversate with your partner. Okay, you have 10 minutes to start with. Okay, are there any questions on expectations for the mini lesson here? Okay, all right, you're on the clock. I'll be walking around. Let me know if you need some help. Yes.
Yeah, it wasn't like it wasn't
Good. That's really good. Okay, so let's bring it back up here, please.
How?
Do we need more time? Okay. Why don't you just take another couple of minutes, okay? While we're waiting for those that need to finish, if you have completed all 6, can we say that there's 6?
Yes.
Okay, all 6, okay? I want you to try to find just the secondary character, but you do not have to explain. Okay, so if you have a stock character or a dynamic character, you You've made a really good explanation. See if there are other characters that we can also attach to that. Okay? You don't have to explain. Okay? But we're going to come up to the front and make a big list. So I'll put up another couple minutes on the clock. Okay? And then we'll bring it back together. So go ahead and wrap up wherever you're at. Okay? I want you to kind of bring your examples up to the front with me. We're going to talk about two different forms of characterization, or two different forms of way characters are kind of built by the author. And then we're going to talk about your definitions and have you give me some examples of that. Okay? So you'll notice on your terms handbook, if you go just like one more box down, okay, or two more boxes down, we've got how characterization is developed. Okay? And when you look at characterization is really just the process of revealing their personalities and motivations. Okay? And the reason why we like characters so much is characters often parallel people that we know in real life or situations that we put those characters into. It makes it relatable. Okay? And as we're going through this, we know the different types of characters. Okay? We're just going to look at that definition and understand that when we have a certain type of character moving the plot forward, sometimes they're just functional, sometimes it's more on the emotional side, sometimes it helps to, get two characters together, and I've got some examples kind of moving outside of Julius Caesar, and we're going to work on identifying these on the fly. So, characterization, okay? Two different types that characterization, or two different ways that characterization is developed. The first one is direct characterization, okay? And that's where the character traits are just directly stated. Okay, if a character says that they're angry or they have a certain tone, it's fairly obvious the way that the character's feeling about that. Okay, that's more on the surface. Okay, the one that makes it so profound for us is the indirect characterization. Okay, and that's on us. Okay, this is really where we as readers learn through their dialogue, their actions, and how other characters interact with those characters. So this is where we get into, if you're watching a movie like The Avengers, right? And everybody's got their favorite superhero. That's more of an indirect characterization. We like the way that they interact with each other, or we like that character for their particular traits. Okay? So we're not going to worry too much about identifying direct and indirect characterization today. What I do want to do together, though, is get the 6 types down, and then get some examples, and we'll work through our review of Julius Caesar. Okay? So, Chris and Matthew, what is one kind of characterization? Okay, so we got flat. Dan, what's another one? Round. What's another one, Alicia?
Dynamic.
Okay, dynamic. Justine?
Stock.
Stock. I put static, but same thing, right? No, it's not the same thing, but that's the next one on my list. Haley, what you got?
Oil.
Oil. And then the last one is static. Okay? So we got 6 character types. Hopefully we have some characters from Julius Caesar that represents these character types, but this is what we're going to be working with today, and this is what we're going to use to identify when we get to the reading of Julius Caesar. Okay? So, let's talk about some examples. Angela and Kim, I'd like you to give me the definition of a flat character, and then give us your character from Julius Caesar and a brief justification as to why you identified them as such.
It's a character that's known for one important trait.
Okay? Known for one important trait. So who can we identify from Julius Caesar? Sure.
We kind of thought that Calpurnia was kind of flat because she's really just known as like the one who freaks out because she dreams about Caesar dying.
Okay. Sure, and so we're known for one important trait, and we have a character that doesn't necessarily change that much, or they are a small function, especially in a play. I think that's a perfect representation of a flat character. She's got one major emotion that she conveys in the play. What is it? Yeah, worry, fear, or concern. Any of those kind of negative connotative words that go along with her worry for Caesar and his safety. Okay, she doesn't ever really change from that. She's not a character that is, overly happy or, scene to scene. She doesn't change that much. I think that that's an excellent example. Do we have any other examples that we can have up here? David? Sorry to, yes, no?
Caesar.
Caesar. Why Caesar?
Because he's really just known as for being like king, and yeah. Well, that's what I think.
Okay, yeah. So let's examine Caesar for a minute, because flat characters, you don't really see them as ever being like a major character, because major characters are often complex and they're the hero or the villain, and so we see them as having a little bit more function in the story or the play than that. But when we're looking at really known for one important trait or not really changing at all, I can get on board with Caesar. Right? So let's take a minute to kind of examine him. You might see him, he starts cocky, right? He seems like he's overconfident. He's got, he's kind of walking around the festival. It's his celebration. But does he ever really change? Not really. I mean, that's the definition of a tragic hero. He doesn't change. He doesn't heed the signs that are given to him. And he eventually dies because of it. Okay, so I think that's great. I could definitely get on board with Caesar. Any other characters? Soothsayer? Okay. Let's see why can we say the soothsayer? Now, I really like the way that the movie portrayed him. That's how I imaginatively kind of see him. It's mystic. It's different. Okay, and really that one important trait. What's his important trait? Yeah, it's giving that foreshadowing of the Ides of March. Okay, good. That's excellent. Okay, let's move on to round character. Okay, Matt and Roman, let's get your definition for round character and give us your example.
One complex, fully round personality.
Okay, complex, round, fully developed personality. Okay, what you got from Julius Caesar?
Brutus.
Okay, Brutus. Why do you say Brutus?
Because he kind of changed throughout the story. Like he was a bit more, I guess, reserved towards Cassius in the beginning, and then once things started going on, he started to change. And once the assassination happened, he took him for
Okay, so you're saying he actually changed 3 times. That's pretty good. I definitely could get on board with that. So complex, round, they show a range of emotions, they have a 3-dimensional personality. What else you got? Is that really?
personality. He's got the
Cassius.
Cassius?
Because he although throughout the whole thing he's trying to kill Caesar, there's different things that he's doing while he's doing it. Like for example, one part he's really prideful, so his pride is hurt when he was put down when Pompey died. Also, he was very cunning, and then he had some twisted form of conscience about him deceiving Brutus. He's like, oh, I wouldn't want to be you in your place. So, and then once he's carrying out the process, he's actually a little scared about it. And so he goes through a lot of changes, but he's also really, really complex guy.
Wow, yes, absolutely. Okay, and when you're looking at round characters as well, a lot of development. Okay, they're complex in the way that they act. They have, and especially for Cassius, it's very well said, David. There's always something else behind what they say or do. Okay, whether it's for good or bad, they are complex characters that we can really analyze and really look at, objectively. Okay, any other round characters? Okay, let's move on to dynamic. Okay, and oftentimes you may see these two put together. Okay, Journey, what's the definition for dynamic character? Please.
One who changes in response to the experience through which he or she passes.
Okay, change through experience. Okay, So if we have really known for one important trait, doesn't really change, dynamic would change through strength. So what did your group say?
We said Brutus because like he started off really altruistic and then he turned bad. He
Okay.
turned like furtive and mean.
Absolutely. And when you're looking at Brutus especially, okay, how did we meet him? What were some ways that we would describe his character when he first is introduced to us? Yeah, he's loyal, he's noble, he's got a little connection to Caesar. I like that word altruistic. That is completely exemplifies what you could see with Brutus, and then he starts to change. Okay. What else? That's great. Thank you, Journey. What else? Any other characters? Portia? What did you say, Portia?
Well, she wanted to know what was going on with Brutus, but then when she found out, she couldn't handle it.
Okay. Yeah, and when we get to the end of the plays especially, and we see all the aftermath of this, I think that change even sharpens. What about Mark Antony, though?
Oh, yeah. Because he goes from like just being like there until like
Okay, so let's kind of take a minute to examine Antony. He is such an important character for the rest of the play. Okay, and Val, I think you're exactly right. He is just kind of there. Like, he's always by Caesar's side, right? He doesn't really have any direct interaction, per se. But now that Caesar's gone, he really starts to take over and is, in fact, part of a group that are going to become the main characters. So, changing through a little bit on the less on the dynamic side for right now, but as we move through the play, we are definitely going to examine him. Okay? Good, very good. Arnold and Drayshawn, let's get static, and then your characters from Julius.
Static is one who changes little over the course of an era.
Okay, so who did you say from Julius Caesar?
Caesar.
Caesar himself. Why'd you say that?
Because like he stayed stubborn and prideful throughout the entire story. Even when people were trying to tell him that he's going to get killed in the soothsayer, he's still...
He's there. That's our tragic hero right there. Cost him his life. Excellent. What else do we have for static character?
We put Casca.
Okay, why?
Because like at first he's like always like he's like a messenger, right?
Mhm.
So like whenever he was with Caesar, like he was kind of like okay with Caesar, and then like whenever he started finding out like stuff was gonna happen to him, Caesar started trusting him more, so he became like more loyal to him.
Okay. So when we look at a static character, you're saying that he changes a little bit, or he does not change?
A little bit. I mean, like he was kind of loyal to Caesar, like kind of the whole time, but like throughout the play, he like got more loyal because Caesar like trusted him more.
Okay. So a character that can be relied on for his loyalty. I like that. That's good. What else? Any other characters? Okay. So these last two tend to deviate a little bit. Okay. Static and flat, we can probably pair those together. Okay, as long as we know the subtle differences in the definitions, the idea is that we have a character that does not change very often, or has one small change they go through. Rounded, dynamic, complex, three-dimensional. Okay, foil takes it in a little bit direction, and we can have different types here that also represent foils for us. Okay. They're over there. Just in case you weren't awake. Sarah, you and Kyle, let's get the definition for foil.
The character is usually minor, designed to highlight qualities of the nature.
Okay? So, what characters do we have that are designed to highlight qualities of a major character here?
I'm going to say Caesar and Mark Antony.
Okay? Why do you say Caesar and Mark Antony?
Because Mark Antony will do like whatever Caesar says and everything because he's puppet, so it shows how dominant Caesar is over people.
Right, and looking at these two characteristics, okay, this is highlighting through their opposites, okay, or complementing each other to highlight a certain characteristic, okay. Very good, very good.
So could a foil be two main characters who are very different?
It could, and I even think that foil could be 3 characters.
Okay, so like for example, we did Cassius and Brutus.
Okay, why Cassius and Brutus?
It's really interesting, but like since they both kind of develop a bit, Cassius starts out like going all out for killing Caesar, while Brutus isn't. And once he has him convinced, Brutus actually becomes a leader, and Cassius follows. They actually never like agree on anything. It's always, even if they both like are gonna kill Caesar, Cassius secretly like wants the power, whereas Brutus is like, oh bro. So there's always a difference between the two characters, whether it be like polar opposites or even just disagreeing on the same thing.
Yeah, and well said. On top of that too, even if we were watching the play, I would imagine that they would have looked differently as well. And so foils also incorporate some of their physical characteristics, but spot on, David, spot on. What other characters could we have for foils?
Calpurnia.
Okay, Calpurnia, and maybe let's provide one more. Who would she foil?
Oh, she foils Caesar.
Okay.
Because like the whole thing, he's kind of just like he's like it's all about him, but it's kind of like behind the scenes. And then when she tells him, like when she freaks out and he's like really stubborn about the situation, he goes anyways, and it shows just how like stubborn he is.
Sure, and tell you what, like wives, gotta listen to your wife. Happy wife, happy life. Angela, and then Haley.
Caesar's servant kind of highlight qualities because like there's a part when he tells her to go to somewhere to find out like why he shouldn't go outside or something, and then she says that she says something about how, but it's basically like someone else telling him not to go to the meeting or whatever, but
Mhm.
he's like, oh, it's fine, like who cares?
Yeah. And again, looking at, Caesar, you guys have identified him twice as a character that does not change very much. It's automatically going to make those other characteristics from those other characters sharpen each other. Okay, Haley?
Could you do like at the beginning of the play with the guards and then the commoners with Pompey?
Sure. So Flavius and Maurellus, and then the commoners.
Yeah.
So explain that a little bit. I think that's a very unique idea.
Well, like, because Flavius and Morales are all like pro Pompey, and they're like making Pompey look good and everything, even though he lost. And then the commoners are like, yeah, the Brutus won, so they're all pro Brutus.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's fantastic. That's a great example. So foils, we can play with this for the rest of the day. I mean, it's just a matter of matching up characters, looking at their highlights, and oftentimes this is what helps a character's qualities really pop. Okay, so let's finish it off. And stock characters are actually an extension a little bit because we're going to get into archetypes a little bit later on. But Darian, you and Tajane, let's hear your definition for stock, and then give us your example.
All right, well, we don't have an example, but I can do the definition.
Okay, let's go for it.
A flat character in a standard role with standard traits.
Okay. Now we have standard role, standard traits. Now, Darian, before we step away from this, okay, I want you to think about this stereotype. Now, do we have a character that we can talk about? Is there any characters in here that would be stereotypical in nature, or one that has, it's like every time you have this need for this role and there's a character that fills that role?
With Caesar, probably.
Okay.
I would say, I don't know if that's right or not, but.
It's all right. Why Caesar? Let's work through it and see if we can justify it.
He doesn't change, so that it fills the flat. In standard role, he's kind of just like the guy, like the main guy. Just does, I don't know what I'm trying to say here.
I mean, Darren's right. I mean, doesn't Caesar exemplify that idea that, we need a main character, right? He's very predictable. Boy, gosh, is he predictable, right? And so you can just see his characteristics coming a mile away. And while his character is a little bit more complex on that when you start looking at how he refused the crown and things like this, what we have through the eyes of the conspirators and the other characters, I think that's great.